It is official. After Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo, there will be a new installment in the Planet franchise. Frontier Development has officially confirmed that next year's game is going to be a brand new introduction to the Planet franchise. And as already have some people discussed it, I wanted to also give my 2 cents to it, what I think about what this game could be. As you potentially have already seen, there are 9 new trademarks licensed in the kind of days before, but there are even more so licensed a couple of years ago. I want to go through all these trademarks and also kind of try to find out what could be the game they are going for. Is it any of the 9 new ones they have registered, or is it maybe one of the old ones, or maybe a completely different one? Who knows? But I think we can rule out at least a couple of those. So without further ado, let's go actually into the website. So here we go. This is the official UK government trademark registration page, and I have actually checked for Frontier Developments PLC. Actually, you will find 3 of them, but one of them is for Frontier Foundry. That one isn't existing anymore, and the other one seems to be just a weird duplicate of that one, which goes to their old address, and they have shifted all the different types to the new address. We're going to go quickly through them. You can see the first ones being filed in 2008. The first ones are relatively low interest. We have seen the Elite one in here, even with a first logo of Elite. Then we have Coaster Crazy on June 11th in 2012. If you consider when this is actually going to be, they also have Coaster Park Tycoon, which seems to, they haven't really been super sure where to go with the Planet brand just then. We also have Safari Park Tycoon, which Planet Zoo is a thing. Water Park Tycoon, which is Planet Coaster 2. So you can see they had a long-term plan already with those things. We also have some stuff like Targoid, Elite Deadly, Elite Dangerous, Elite Deadly again. They also have a removed status of Planet Coaster. Obviously, that thing is already in. And now we get into some registered ones. As you can see, this one is still registered from 2015, which is Planet Safari. And you can see this is where they started to register the Planet brands. Now, obviously, Planet Safari turned out to be Planet Zoo at the end of the day. But they also have some other stuff, like the registered, and now this is important, we're going to add that to the list. This is the Planet City. I will hopefully have on screen right now, to the right-hand side, added the Planet City now to the potential ones. Then we also have Planet Golf, Planet Hospital, Planet Prison, Planet Racing, and we go on to the next page, which is going to be then the next one, Planet Farm, and now we get into the new ones. You can see this is the 8th of June, which is Planet Farm, Planet Resort, Planet Festival, Planet Vacation, Planet Dinosaur, Planet Prehistoric, Planet Fantasy, Planet Mythical Creatures, Planet Dragon, Planet Railway, Planet Soccer, and by the way, we are back into the old ones. It's a weird sorting over here. Anyways, the Planet Railway is an old one we have, Planet Transport, Planet Soccer, and obviously Planet Zoo, the good old beloved one. So I guess what we can kind of do right now is we can first of all rule out a couple. So obviously Planet Zoo is gonna go out. I would also say that we can bring together Planet Fantasy, Mythical Creatures and Dragon will be one, Planet Prehistoric and Planet Dinosaur. I know this may be a little bit too fast and I should maybe look more into it, but to be completely honest with you, I highly doubt they would do this with Jurassic World Evolution still being on, pretty much on. You know, the support for this game will be going longer, and that would be a very weird sacrifice of their game. So I would actually rule out Planet Dinosaur and Prehistoric, at least for next year. That's not being said this isn't interesting at all, but then this will leave us with Planet Vacation, Planet Festival, Planet Resort, Planet Farm. We also had Planet Golf. And we will obviously also look into the other ones. We also have Planet Soccer, Planet Transport, and on the first page, just to go back so you can see all of that, we also still have Planet City and Planet Hospital and Planet Prison in. Planet Racing, I also want to rule out because of the history with the F1 game. I really don't think that is going to be it. So that leaves us with a good choice of typical Planet games. Let's do a little break over here and quickly talk about what does make a planet game a planet game? And to be honest, statistically, we are not quite there, because for a good statistics, you would actually need 3 entries to rule out any kind of bias or whatever. At the moment, we only have a entry way of 2, Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. And to be fair, both of them are in the larger kind of theme of theme parks in a way. So both of them are kind of entertaining parks, if you will. And this is obviously, they're obviously sharing a lot of common things. The way how a park is set up and the setup of a park itself, you know, that kind of typical kind of area where that park is, with a very similar way of having entrances, management, all of kind of things, is relatively similar. I would say that this is the way to go. So that would obviously highlight certain things like Planet Hospital, or also Planet Farm is a similar thing that would go, Planet Resort obviously, and also all these kind of other things. However, to make it a little bit more specific, I want to rule out a couple of more. And I know this is just pure guessing, but I try to narrow this down a little bit to at least get somewhat of an idea what it could be. And at the end, I will also obviously share my favorite of those. So Planet Resort, I would rule out simply because of the fact that I think this would be way too close to Planet Coaster. If they would continue the idea of Planet Coaster as is, I do hope that they will go a lot more into the resort area. And, you know, I also briefly talked about Jonty Geekism about this. He made a good video yesterday, and he kind of has a similar thought of it. That would be a cannibalism for the potential of Planet Coaster 2. So that would be a very weird move indeed. Planet Farm is a similar story, even though I would find this very cool, and we all know me as a German, or let's say not a German, but German-speaking person, because it's a Swiss game, but farming simulator obviously is a huge thing in the internet. It's like a huge genre, and it definitely would spark some interest. However, again, cannibalism would be quite a bit too much for the zoo kind of thing. Obviously, with farms and stuff, you could definitely go into different areas, but like animal-wise and stuff, there would be quite of a bit like interface, even though I wouldn't see it as much of an interface as with Planet Coaster and Planet Resort. Anyways, that is definitely something I would rule out just for the sake of it right now. And also, what I would rule out is Planet City and Planet Golf. The reason why I'm ruling out those two is also pretty simple. Planet City, I just don't see the current way how piece by piece building and the strengths of the Planet series with the people, you know, the Planko people, the Planko language, and the different in-game brands. You know, they have established a franchise. I don't really see how this is working together nicely. So I'm very uncertain how that could work. So this is why I would rule out this very much for the Planet City thing. And as for the Planet Golf thing, I would definitely rule that out simply because I don't really feel like a golf, and that's similar what Jonty said in his video, and also because I played that first look game, the golf kind of game I had, what was that, on par, or what was that, that one, under par it was, that one obviously was fun as long as it lasted, but there's only so much you can do with it, which leaves us with a rather small choice, I guess. So what we have is Planet Festival, Planet Vacation, definitely the whole kind of Planet fantasy thing with creatures and dragons and stuff, Planet Railway and Transport, which go very much together. This is still something that is in the mix for me personally, and obviously Planet Hospital and Planet Prison, two of which I want to rule out just because of personal reasons right now. I do still think they would both be perfectly doable, but I would take out Planet Hospital and Planet Prison, simply because I feel like games like Prison Architect, for example, they are super crazy in management, and we all know Frontier is not extremely strong in management of that sense, so I'm not even sure if that makes too much sense. And Planet Hospital, or maybe we shouldn't rule out Planet Hospital. The more I think about this, because I was comparing that to 2 Point Hospital, but I think 2 Point Hospital has a different humoristic approach to it. So a more realism-focused hospital kind of game, I would definitely see possible for being done by Frontier. So okay, let's keep that in the list. So we end up with Planet Hospital, Planet Vacation, Planet Festival, Planet Fantasy as a larger thing, and Planet Railway / Transport, which is where we are ending. And given what Frontier has done, I would put my money somewhere between the Planet Transport and the Planet Vacation thing. And with the vacation thing, I could also take in Festival. I do think that both of these, like all three of those, would be incredibly doable with the current setup. Let's begin with the Festival one. It would be a very interesting niche that not too many have tapped in, and I'm very curious to how that could end up looking. Imagine having the chance to build up stages and make them modular and be able to create all kind of cool party stages, tours, set up tours with some fictional artists from the avatar system in the game, even being able to set up whole festival grounds, in Germany with Rock am Ring, for example, which is a huge thing, but you could also do these kind of festivals like Tomorrowland, Coachella, all these kind of things are pretty huge, and I do think there's a huge chance to do that. The only thing I would actually potentially have in mind is how far can you take that? Like how much can you really do with it? How crazy can it be? How much would you need to go even into kind of crazy stuff like festivals on the moon or so to make it work and this is another dimension we have to think. The Planet game was always successful because of that, deliver and nurture idea of having multiple DLCs adding to the idea of it. So this is why I wanted to quickly start with the Planet Festival one, because I do think it's the least likely of those. If we go then further into the Planet Vacation thing, I'll take that one over Planet Resort. And I think we're going now into the area of being more likely. Planet Vacation would offer a lot more than just resorts, and Planet Vacation could still be a resort kind of thing where you build resorts, but it could also be like you can build skiing areas, you could build like lakes, you could build swimming pools, you could also build like all kind of crazy vacation stuff you can do, starting from surfing ideas, you can kind of plan tours of boat tours of whatnot, diving, scuba diving, all these kind of things. And as you can hear, this would offer us to see a lot of the systems that's been in place for both games, Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster alike, that could make a very nice game as Planet Vacation without cannibalizing the other brands. You wouldn't build a full zoo with aquatics, you would basically build a lagoon like tropical kind of style. You wouldn't build a kind of lift in Planet Coaster as in a theme park, you would build a skiing resort in that kind of sense with all this kind of skiing stuff around. It would offer a very interesting way of staff management, having people who kind of do drive some vehicles and stuff like that. However, what I would think is interesting, most likely, is that it still would be a kind of big shift from the typical kind of, build a park kind of idea or build in an area kind of idea. That definitely would be a huge shift because you would need to have a completely different design for how you do that. Well, or do you? You maybe could still limit that to a certain area of some sort. But what I'm saying is that it would make a huge shift because vehicles and stuff would be playing a much bigger role. But I still would think this is very doable and also very interesting. Which leaves me now to my number one guess at this point. The more we will learn, maybe I will quickly move away from that. But Planet Transport / Planet Railway, for me personally, would be the perfect fit in between the existing ones. It would almost like give you the chance to connect these things in a fun way. You could even build like a transport area, a transport hub between entertaining areas for a city where you connect the zoo, the city, and the theme park, with each other. But like going back into what games in the past have had huge success that Frontier is actually doing a new genre on, and you start with the roller coaster tycoon genre, which meandered into Planet Coaster. You go on with the zoo tycoon genre, which then goes into Planet Zoo these days, and there's one big one from the past remaining, and that is absolutely Planet sorry, it's obviously Transport Tycoon. That is the big one. Even the first one I played of all of those, Transport Tycoon was my first Tycoon game I ever played. And seeing a similar modern approach on that would be very interesting. I mean, we have seen some more installments on Transport Tycoon in the past, so it's definitely that this series didn't die. This one is definitely still existing. But yeah, just saying, that is a very interesting thought at this point, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I still have one more big wild guess over here, and that is a kind of Sims competitor. That one would be fairly interesting because it would also suit the way this genre is set up. As maybe Planet Life, that would be called. I would absolutely love it. However, I don't know if Frontier is going to want to go into that kind of Shark Tank right now, because obviously with Paralives, Inzoi, and The Sims, obviously, that is a crazy competition. And we've seen, especially with Inzoi, or also from, what was the game called? Live Beyond, or Live by You from Paradox. There is a huge rate of failure if you don't deliver. So as much as I would love that, I don't see that happening. Anyways, video is more than long enough. I hope I gave you a bit of a nice insight to what I'm thinking. Let me just hear your guess in the comments. What do you think realistically would be possible? But also let me know what would be your wild wish for a Planet genre. I'm really, really curious to explore what you guys are thinking. But now, thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna talk to you in the next one.